Before this video gets started, I just wanted to warn everybody, when I originally recorded this video, for whatever reason, the ERB audio was muted. So instead of redoing the entire reaction, I just went back and edited the video and inserted the clips, which was a pain in the ass to time. So if you notice like funky movements with the ERB video, that's why I did my best to synchronize it as best as possible. But I hope you enjoy the reaction. I really enjoyed doing it. So without further ado, here it is. What's good, fam? So today is November 5th, 2021. And remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason, and plot. So a lot of you have been asking me, hey man, what are you going to do, Guy Fawkes versus Che Guevara? Well, November 5th, duh, if you really thought about it. Come on, man. It's the perfect date. So this one, I'm doing the full breakdown line by line. And then in a couple of hours, I'm going to put out a second video where I just rate the rap battle itself and let you know who I thought won and why, and of course break down the categories as always. So let's get into it with the full breakdown. Guy Fawkes versus Che Guevara.
Guy Fawkes versus Che Guevara.
Guevara the terror, fresh kangaroo wearer, ill rhyme slayer from the 60s era, revolting heavy metal rebel blood spiller. Me and my gorillas are a squad of killers.
Damn, this beat! Yo, I didn't even hear the lyrics, man. This is by far, I've done almost 50 ERB reactions. Son, this is the dopest beat ever. I just wanted to dance to this shit. Hold on, man. I gotta go back now because I missed the whole thing.
Guevara the terror, fresh kangaroo wearer, ill rhyme slayer from the 60s era, revolting heavy metal.
God damn, and this dude, he looks just like Che. I love it. Che Guevara, the terror, fresh Kango wearer. Yeah, so Kango is a type of hat that was especially popular here in New York City. I mean, people still wear Kangos, but mostly like old school cats. Che was a terror, man. A lot of people view him as a hero. A lot of people view him as a really bad dude. He and Castro, of course, are the two big figures in the Cuban Revolution, when in 1959 they overthrow the leader of Cuba at the time, who was Batista. So throughout the 60s, Che was known worldwide. Slayer, yeah, Che was not... He had no trepidation to kill anyone who was in his way. And that's why a lot of people view him as a villain. But then again, a lot of people view him, and in Cuba to this day, he's still a national hero.
60s era, revolting heavy metal rebel blood spiller. Me and my gorillas are a squad of killers. Known worldwide for my steely-eyed look. You're famous.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Me and my gorillas. So for those who don't know, guerrillas, guerrilla warfare, what that basically boils down to in the most rudimentary sense of the term guerrillas is an irregular force, meaning it's not like a standing army. So you could really think of, from the American side of things, the American Revolutionary War, right? These were not, America didn't have an army. America wasn't even America, right? Most of the people who were serving were either paid mercenaries like Hessians, for example, but most were just dudes who just like grabbed whatever guns they had in their house and were like, all right, we're in. So it's small forces with the aim of political domination, usually overthrowing an existing government and replacing it. Heavy metal rebel blood spiller. So that comes from the fact that Che would not be happy with his image nowadays because he's been so commercialized. This is somebody who hated capitalism with a vengeance. Blood spiller. I mean, he was ready to spill blood everywhere because he felt capitalism was the scourge of the earth, right? Whereas now his image, and froze it at the perfect moment because that's the famous image we see on t-shirts, on pins, on magnets, on posters. his image has been commercialized so much that he's basically become a part of the capitalist machine, right? But at the same time, his influence also spreads heavily into music, right? Like I got in the background a music video for Renegades of Funk covered by Rage Against the Machine. So a lot of bands, especially heavy metal bands, have been influenced by Che and his ideologies and politics and things of that nature.
Metal rebel blood spiller. Me and my gorillas are a squad of killers. Known worldwide for my steely-eyed look. You're famous because of Alan Moore's third best book. All the children.
Oh shit! Goddamn! Yeah. Fuck, I completely forgot that Alan Moore wrote V for Vendetta. For those who don't know, Alan Moore is probably in the argument for the greatest graphic novel / comic writer of all time. So third best, so obviously it has to be The Killing Joke and Watchmen. Aside from that, he wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He wrote Swamp Thing. He wrote From Hell. So Alan Moore is a prolific writer. But yeah, Watchmen and The Killing Joke are probably his two most famous. Watchmen and Killing Joke kind of interchangeable as far as 1 and 2 goes. For me personally, I would put Watchmen first, then Killing Joke, then V for Vendetta. So he's right. He's most famous for Alan Moore's third best book.
All the children say we will be like Che. Asthmatic, but I'll take your breath away.
Woo! Goddamn. This is true. They do this. I believe. I don't know if they still do this, but last I heard, I haven't really been much on what's going on currently in Cuba. But last I remembered, still to this day, children still pledge we will be like Che, right? Kind of like we have the Pledge of Allegiance in American schools. School children obviously make a communist pledge, and they would say we will be like Che because he's still viewed as, again, just a major hero in Cuba and in many parts of the world.
We will be like Che. Asthmatic, but I'll take your breath away.
I love that. So Che Guevara was an asthmatic. So that's 100% true. But I love that asthmatic, but I'll take your breath away. So again, it's a pun on his own asthma, but also you take a motherfucker's breath away, that bitch is dead, right?
You tried to rebel against James the First. Here's a tip for your next plot. Try to rehearse. I got my face on a magnet on your roommate's fridge. Your head is on a spike up on London Bridge. You had one job, cabron, to strike a matchstick.
You had one job, cabron. I was waiting for the cabron. Or coño. Ken told me last time when I did the DR reaction for geography. Now he's like, I can't believe you did a whole ass reaction on the Dominican Republic and not once did you say coño. So we got the cabron. So let's see. Yeah, you tried to rebel against James I. So the whole gunpowder treason plot was to assassinate King James I of England. So England was under Protestant rule at the time. And the whole gunpowder treason plot was to remove James I and reinstall a Catholic king so England can return to Catholicism. Now, Guy Fawkes, I'll get into it more in his verse, but Guy Fawkes really was not the master. A lot of people think he was the mastermind behind the whole plot. He was not. He was such a minor player in the whole thing. It's just he's the most famous one because he was caught, because he gave up his conspirators, and because of the way he dies at the end. I don't want to spoil it yet. And of course that he's written about, right? But he was such a minor character in the whole plot.
Against James I. Here's a tip for your next plot. Try to rehearse. I got my face on a magnet on your roommate's fridge. Your head is on a spike up on London Bridge.
Yeah, so again, Che is kind of feeding into the whole commercialism of his image. So my face is everywhere, even on magnets, probably on your roommate's fridge. Your head is on a pike up on London Bridge. So after his death, Guy Fawkes was quartered and his head was put up on a pike on London Bridge. You had one job, cabron. So cabron literally translates to male goat. So it has many different meanings depending on the context of its usage. Cabron could just be like, yo, what's up, cabron? Like, what's up, my man? What's up, brother? What's up, bitch? You know, just kind of like that, you know, but it could also mean like jackass. It can mean idiot. What, you know, it's whatever. The context here, of course, is not a pleasant one. And you had one job, obviously. His one job was to oversee the explosives and light the match to light the fuse with the match, right? That was his one job. He wasn't involved in the planning or anything like that. And he literally had one job. So it's also a reference probably to the "you had one job" meme, like seriously, because I know Guy Fawkes has become they use him in memes a lot as like, man, you had just one job, you fuck up.
You had one job, cabron, to strike a matchstick. Got caught with the fuse like your boss. Not lit. You should have stayed in.
Woo, got caught with a fuse like your boss. Not lit. God damn, that was good. That was good. Your rhymes ain't lit, just like that fuse.
You should have stayed anonymous, epic fail guy.
Oh, epic fail guy. That's it. That's the epic fail guy, right? They used the Guy Fawkes face for like epic fails. Yeah, you had one job, man. Seriously.
Hot with the fuse like your boss. Not lit. You should have stayed anonymous, epic fail guy. Treat this
Anonymous. So Anonymous were a group of hackers back like, what was it, like 10, 20 years ago? I don't even remember. But I remember they used the Guy Fawkes face as like, you know, to cover up their own images. Just like the kids who wear Che's face on a t-shirt and think they're fucking revolutionaries when, bruh, the irony of everything you're trying to do right now. It's like I actually attended a communist meeting at one of my colleges, and I was just amazed to sit there and watch everybody talk about the values of socialism when they couldn't distinguish between socialism and communism. They're not one and the same. And number two, like everybody in the room had something like, you know, a shopping bag from Target. You know, they're wearing the Che t-shirts, right? I was like, you capitalist motherfuckers, and you don't even know it.
fail guy. Treat this battle like the gallows and take another dive. As a communist.
Ooh. Yum, yum, yum.
Should've stayed anonymous, epic fail guy. Treat this battle like the gallows and take another
Treat this
dive.
battle like the gallows and take another dive. So, sick burn. So, once a guy is caught, he is tortured, and I mean fucking tortured. As they walked him to the gallows, because he was to be hung, and then he was supposed to be quartered. They were going to cut his dick off. Like, they were going to make an example of this fucking guy, right? So, as they're leading him to the gallows to be hung, he gets up on the ladder, and it's disputed whether he did it purposefully or, look, he was just so fucked up, he might have just fallen. But either case, he falls, breaks his own neck, and dies instantly. So he's spared actually being hung and let there to die extremely painfully, right? And I believe they were going to cut off like his nether regions before they hung him. So that would have been excruciating as well. So he's saying, you know, why don't you take another dive, right? To take a dive also is to kind of like give up, or sometimes if somebody takes a dive in like a sports, you know, like in boxing, for example, it means the fight is fixed, right? So why don't you take another dive there, man? Just lay down.
As a communist, it must really hurt that your face has been cheapened, weakened, besmirched, being plastered on posters, coasters, and shirts, making capitalists rich off of you on merch. Right, I'm a pious man, and I fight for the...
Everything he just said is completely true, right? But of course, it's not Che's fault. All of this happened after, you know, he was murdered, assassinated. But yeah, Che's image has been put on everything. Posters, coasters, and it's made other people extremely rich exploiting his image.
Right, I'm a pious man, and I fight for the Lord. I would cut you, but I don't want your sweat on my sword. I was tortured until I could hardly sign my...
On my sword. Yeah, so Guy Fawkes did consider himself a very pious man. a religious man, a good man, faithful to the Lord, obviously a Catholic, because that was the whole point of the plot, was to assassinate King James I, who was a Protestant, and replace him again with a Catholic king. So Guy and everybody involved in the plot were Catholics who wanted to return, again, England to Catholicism.
Right, I'm a pious man and I fight for the Lord. I would cut you, but I don't want your sweat on my sword. I was tortured until I could hardly sign my name, and listening to you felt pretty much the same. Ooh, face it, Ernesto.
All right. But yeah, so I went through that already. So he was tortured, really, really bad. And yeah, so when he did famously go to sign his name, it was completely illegible.
Ooh, face it, Ernesto, you're Castro, but less so. He's Cuba commander, you're more of the destro. Revolt all you want, I don't...
Oh god, the nerd references in this one are great too, man. First we get Alan Moore, and now we get a G.I. Joe reference. Ernesto is Che's real first name, Ernesto Guevara. You're Castro, but less so. There's a lot of debate here. Che was arguably way more popular than Castro was. But Che was kind of like Thomas Jefferson, in the sense that after the revolution, Jefferson had almost like, I don't want to say bloodthirst, but he was like, man, all that, revolution, and now it's just like, now we get down to the boring stuff of the actual politics and setting up government and blah, blah, blah. And he really wasn't into that, so he travels to France to assist in the French Revolution. And that's basically what Che was kind of like. Again, I'm just doing a rudimentary overall on this. There's a lot more, obviously, to the story and the history, but Che didn't really want to be in charge. Che was more like, he'd rather run things behind the scenes. Like, he'd actually rather do the work. Whereas Castro, of course, loved all the adoration, the fame, giving the speeches, all that stuff. Che also was not a really good public speaker. And then again, when a lot of Che's policies failed, because he was basically in charge of the finance aspect, right? The economy. And most of the stuff that, he did failed epically. And he ends up leaving Cuba to go and help out in other revolutions, right? But he's saying you're Castro, but less so.
You're Castro, but less so. He's Cuba commander, you're more of the destro. Revolt.
He's Cuba commander, you're more of the destro. So this is a reference to G.I. Joe and Cobra commander, but in this case, it's Cuba commander. And destro is basically like Cobra Commander's right-hand man, who basically like does all of his dirty work for him. But of course, Cobra Commander is superior, whereas Destro is his underling, so to speak. So he's saying in the relationship, Castro is the Cuba Commander or Cobra Commander, and you're kind of like the sidekick. You're Destro. You go out there and you do all the dirty work and shit.
You're more of the destro. Revolt all you want, I don't give two guy fucks. But look at Venezuela, what you're fighting for sucks.
Ooh, that was a deep one, man.
Revolt all you want, I don't give two guy fucks. But look at...
I don't give two Guy Fawkes. So I don't give two fucks, obviously. A play on his own name, I don't give two Fawkes. But there was a reference, because I remember it was probably one of my favorite lines in the Dumbledore and Gandalf ERB. He said, I don't give a Fawkes, referring, of course, to his, what the fuck is the bird called? The Phoenix, right? I don't give a Fawkes. So this is the second reference to an I don't give a Fawkes line. And also, of course, in England, giving somebody this is equivalent to giving somebody this, right? It's equivalent to flipping them off. And then he mentions Venezuela, right? The V for Venezuela, V for vendetta, of course. So that's like 4 different meanings. That was pretty good. I think that's Guy Fawkes' best line.
I don't give two guy fucks, but look at Venezuela. What you're fighting for sucks.
Sucks. Guy, you died for the Catholics. A group with a bad touching little boys happen.
True. Che is basically saying, man, at least the cause I fought for, what are you fighting for? You're fighting for the Catholics? Aren't, like, they big fans of, like, graping little boys? The Venezuela mention. So again, a lot of people confuse and use communism and socialism interchangeably. So all of communism is socialist, but not all socialism is communism. They're both similar ideologies from an economic standpoint, but from a political and governmental standpoint, they vary. So, for example, a lot of capitalist countries have socialist ideologies. So, for example, here in the United States, we have things like Social Security, public schools, public roads. These are socialist type programs, right? But of course, we are not a communist country. So a country can have socialist ideologies and economics, but not necessarily be communist. And Venezuela falls under that. So the leader at the time when this was, because this was made several years ago, I forget the dude's name, but he ran under the Socialist Party regime, and he was blamed for a lot of the economic issues that Venezuela eventually faced under his rule. And the main ideology of the governments and why most communism that we've known in world history is not true communism and fails is because the revolutions in Marxist and Engels' ideology was, once the revolution is over, a temporary government needs to be put in place to basically set everything up, right? But the key word here is temporary. Whereas in China, in Russia, these temporary governments became dictators, right? They didn't want to give up that power, right? So those are some of the key again, very rudimentary, very simplified, but just to give you an idea.
And this porn star pilgrim look. What's up with that? It's more like me, a very bad hat. Oh! What's
He's making fun of his hat. What the fuck? I didn't even notice. Well, I would definitely rather have the Kangol than whatever Guy Fawkes is wearing. V for very bad hat instead of V for vendetta. Porn star pilgrim look. Okay. All right, I'm with you, Che. Che got jokes.
What's up with that? It's more like me, a very bad hat. Oh! What's the fox say now?
Oh, God, they had to do it. They had to. Oh, God damn it. I haven't thought of that song since it came out. Why'd you have to do that to me, Che? That ain't right, man. And I love the, oh! Like, now Che's just playing with him and toying with him because he knows he has this hat in hand, so to speak.
When they cut your junk out, I'm the hardest Marxist ever graced a banknote. You're an error-prone terrorist, penny for the scapegoat.
Don't try to.
Woo! Oh, man, he went 0 to 100 real quick. He was joking. He was just fucking around with him, and then he's like, nah, son, don't think I'm letting you off the hook. He's the hardest Marxist.
I'm the hardest Marxist ever graced a banknote. You're an error-prone terrorist, penny for the scapegoat.
You're an error-prone terrorist. Again, we've discussed what his one job was. Penny for the scapegoat. Yeah, so, I mean, he really wasn't a scapegoat. I mean, he was kind of, I guess, because he was the one that was caught, but he gave up his conspirators. But on Guy Fawkes Day, poor people, beggars would go around and they would ask for a penny for the guy, right? A penny for Guy. And that's how they would ask people for money, you know? A penny for Guy, a penny for Guy. Penny for the scapegoat.
Penny for the scapegoat.
Don't try to boast about your banknotes with Guido.
Oh shit, I like that. Che threw his cigar there in the corner. And he's like, man, you can't light them powder kegs? I'll light them for you, man.
To boast about your banknotes with Guido. You muddled your economy like mint in a mojito.
Banknotes with Guido. Guido was, I know there's some reference. I believe when he fought in the war, he fought under the name Guido, as far as I remember. But I don't know if that's his real name or a pseudonym or whatever it is. But it's definitely a reference to Guy Fawkes. And him using that name, but I don't know if it's a real name or a pseudonym.
You muddled your economy like mint in a mojito. This very battle disproves your communist initiative. That's
true. As I mentioned before, pretty much all of Che's initiatives when he was in charge of the economy in Cuba were absolute failures. He muddled it, like he said, like mint in a mojito. So to muddle a drink means when you put like fruit or mint or anything in a drink, you then muddle it. Basically, you mash it up in the drink. But if you muddle it too much, it ruins the taste of the drink. So he's saying you muddled it like mint in a mojito. So you fucked up the government.
Prove your communist initiative. These rhyme skills are not evenly distributed. I'm Catholic.
Okay, that was a good line. I like that. These rhyme skills are not evenly distributed. So, of course, in socialism, like, that's the whole point, even distribution. But he's saying, in this battle, man, it's not even evenly distributed because I'm so much better than you, even though I disagree.
Not evenly distributed. I'm Catholic. I've got mass when I'm rapping. You're an upchain.
When I was looking at, oh, goddamn, I'm Catholic, I've got mass, and when I was reading the subtitles, I legit thought that said, right. I can't say the word because then YouTube will demonetize the video. I was like, oh, Catholics. Oh, man, why are you talking about graping people? Man, that's a bad line. I got mass when I'm rapping, if you say so.
Got mass when I'm rapping. You're an upchain. That's Bay of Pigs Latin.
Okay, that's cute. I like that. That's a good line. You're an che, which is saying chump in pig Latin, but he's referring to Bay of Pigs Latin. So if you don't know what the Bay of Pigs invasion was, that took place in 1961. It was one of America's, and it was a CIA-led operation. It was one of America's many attempts to overthrow Castro and the communist regime in Cuba. It was started during the Eisenhower administration in 1960, but it wasn't executed until after Kennedy was sworn into office in 1961. And they used former Cubans, which were trained by the CIA, to basically then go back into Cuba and to overthrow the government with the backing of America. But unfortunately, Kennedy, while he greenlit the mission, wasn't really supportive of it, and he withdrew most American support. So it was just a clusterfuck. They were caught on the beach by the bay, which was called the Bay of Pigs. So that's why it's the Bay of Pigs invasion.
After what just happened, you should retire. Is it the 5th of November? 'Cause I'm on fire!
Oh, that was such a bad ending. Is it the 5th of November because I'm on fire? That would have been a dope-ass finish if, again, Guy Fawkes actually succeeded in the one job that he had, which was lighting the fuse. So that is definitely, when I go to score this, that is definitely going to be a self-inflicted wound right there. But great. But I mean, you guys were right. This was so good. Totally nerded out over this one. It had everything. It had probably the best beat to any ERB I've done so far. But either case, I will catch you in the next video in a couple hours, fam, where I'm going to break down just the battle itself. I'm not going to be breaking down lines. I'm just going to be grading it on the rap battle portion. I've been Teacher Eddie, and I'll catch you next time. Fam! We're shouting out the Patreons who keep things running here. The Chancellors, Elena G, Alex S, Cuckles, John Alonzo, Naval Colt, The Hollow King, The Principal Tier, Addison Lynn, Blue Tech, Chad A, Chris H, Chrissy Clement, Freeman Stephenson, Joshua Stewart, Kiara, Laura, Lord Gandalf, Murikakari, Nathan, Quiet J, Rachel H, Robin, Robin B, and Vijandra. I've been Teacher Eddie, and I'll catch you next time. Fam!